Hello and welcome, HMH Saddle Services. We are going to start our series on tack care. My name's Houston, the H in HMH Saddle Services, and today we're just going to be going over cleaning a piece of tack. We are going to be using our Stübben leather soap and our Stübben leather care. These interestingly enough, need to be cleaned, but that's because we've used them a bit for cleaning other stuff. So we're going to hit this item first with the leather soap, and then we're going to hit it with the leather care. What you can't see off camera is some hot water that we're going to do this with. What else we're going to need is some towels. I have some terry cloth towels that I picked up. I haven't used terry cloth before. I'm experimenting with terry cloth today. So we're going to use some terry cloth. Now I chose terry cloth because I've used in the past this microfiber. It's not as absorbent as I would like. So we're going to test out with terry cloth today. You know, has absorption, has a grain to it, so it's good for picking up stuff. What we're going to be cleaning is a Stübben Equi-Soft Girth. Now, in later videos, we'll talk more in depth about the Equi-Soft Girth, but this one was just used in a show this weekend, so it needs to be cleaned pretty good. So what we're going to do is, off screen, I have a bucket of hot water. We're going to get this thing wiped down, get as much dirt off of it as we can. Then we're going to hit it with the soap, and then we're going to hit it with the Stübben leather care. So let's go. Okay, so we got the pad separated. So part of the Equi-Soft system is the pads, multiple colors. They even have fleece, Velcro to the actual Equi-Soft girth. So you have a number of choices here. Took this off, already wiped this down a little bit off screen, but now we're going to get to cleaning this. So I have my terry cloth towel. Gonna get it in some wet water, and what we're gonna do is we are just going to take this wet cloth and we're gonna wipe down everything, get as much, just wipe the dust and dirt off as much as we can. Now, if we're gonna hit it with soap, why am I wiping all the dirt off now? I want to get as much dirt off as I can just using warm water on a wet towel initially, because it'll allow the soap to do a better job of getting into the grain on the leather. Now, part of doing this is so that we, tack's expensive and we want to make sure that it lasts as long as possible. So that's why good and proper care of your tack is very important. Now, a full tack clean down should be done at the end of every show, and you should do a clean at the beginning and end of every season. So if you're like us and you are eventers and fox hunters, the eventing season begins right about at the end of fox hunting season. So as fox hunting season ends, we're going to clean our tack, do a deep clean of our tack, and that is also going to give us the opportunity to do our pre-season clean for eventing season and vice versa. So as eventing season winds down, like it is here in the Pacific Northwest, we are then going to prepare for fox hunting season, again, by doing deep clean of our tack. And then you should also do a deep clean of your tack after every show or every hunt, especially if the weather has been a little nasty and you're going to get some really dirty tack. Tack cleaning, at least for me, is a bit therapeutic. Okay, so now we're going to take our Stübben leather soap and using a clean, damp cloth. Again, we're using terry cloth for this. We're going to get in and wrap this around. So one trick, just like you're doing with shoe polish, you can take this, put 2 fingers, wrap it around, gives you a good grip, and then you get in there, you get the soap, onto the cloth on your fingers. And then we are just going to take this, and we're just going to rub the soap all over that leather. Get it really nice and clean. Okay, we're going to keep doing this. Wet, clean cloth, our saddle soap, and then just get every bit of the saddle, or of the tack, with our saddle soap. And this is just the front side. We're going to get the other side here in a minute. It's really going to help. Now, out of screen here, get these bits at the end where the girth is going to attach to the saddle. And get all this stuff clean. These are high wear parts on the girth, so we want to make sure that we keep them clean. So as our tack gets used, the horses, especially if you're competing in them heavily, horses are going to sweat, and if it's not properly cleaned, the sweat is going to break down the leather. And you don't want that, because it's going to make the leather brittle, and then you're going to see cracks in the leather. And when you see cracks in the leather, that means you're going to start seeing leather degradation, and leather will fail if not cared for. We actually, I've seen what happens. We had some stirrup leathers that a working student put on inadvertently on a saddle, and my good friend James, shout out James, I know you're watching this, went to go jump, not knowing that he wasn't supposed to have that bit of saddle, or those stirrup leathers on his stirrups. He didn't set up his saddle, so it's not his fault. And he went for the first jump in the warm-up, and he promptly came off the horse. And I had to go kick after the horse and and collect it. So we had a very angry Brit on our hands out here in the Pacific Northwest. Okay, so now we've got our saddle all soaped. And we're going to flip back over to where we started. Again, another wet terry cloth. And we are going to just wipe that soap and dirt off of our saddle, off of our tack. So notice here we got a little bit of, got some globs of soap in there. We're going to do our best to clean those out. But we want to wipe this down really good. So we are now removing the soap, saddle soap, from the leather. What that is going to do, that's going to take all the dirt and grime and sweat off with it. Now, you can buy one-piece, one-step saddle soap. Don't recommend that. So our Stübben saddle soap and leather care is designed to be used together. If you have Stübben products, recommend using this first and foremost, but it obviously works on anything else, but on any other brand of saddle. But our Stübben leather soap and leather care are the best products for Stübben, and them being a two-part, it means they're each individually made for what they're supposed to do. So we get our cleaning with our soap, and then we get our care, which we'll talk about in just a minute. We want to make sure we get in these little pieces here in our tack. Any nooks and crannies, because there can be a buildup of dirt and grime and sweat in those places, and we don't want that to be a thing, because then that's where failures happen. And oftentimes those small areas, they have the highest friction and they're rubbing together a lot, and you are going to, that's where you're going to have your failure points. So we got this side done. I'm going to take that off. Now we are going to clean this back side. A little easier on this back side other than the Velcro. Now again, with this works for any girths. The Equi-Soft Girth being two parts, being built as it is going to give you a little more nooks and crannies to get into, and you got the Velcro, but the Equi-Soft Girth is really fantastic. We'll talk about this in a later video, but just the way it sits and the way it's designed to move with your horse, it allows you to have a very secure saddle, and then also one that is very comfortable for the horse. And I mean, that's everything Stübben is designed for the horse. So we as the riders get to enjoy that. Okay, so now this is all wiped down. And I'm going to go ahead and dry it before we apply our leather care. So get that soap and water off, and it dry. Now the leather care is going to add moisture back into our tack. Again, water is going to evaporate. Water and sweat eventually evaporates, and as that water and sweat evaporates and leaves the leather, it dries the leather. So, we think, oh, wet is good, moisture, good. No, not necessarily, but that's where the leather care comes in. It is the right makeup to provide that long-lasting moisture in this tack. Okay. So, this has been cleaned already off screen, so don't worry about it. We're focusing on this here today. All right. So one of the upsides of this leather care, you can't smell it because we don't have that technology yet, but Stübben leather care smells like bacon. It's actually kind of nice. So we're just going to put a little dollop on there. And again, using our terry cloth, we're going to just rub that in. Now, we're not going to necessarily wipe this off, but what we want to do is we want to work that. You can see how that's working into the nooks and crannies there and the crevices. We want to work our leather care into the tack. Now the leather care is not going to harm these elastic bits on the Equi-Soft Girth, so we don't have to worry about that. We're just going to wipe those off later. What we want to really focus on is getting every piece of leather covered in our leather care material. This also provides a great shine to the leather. I've used this leather care material on my boots before. It's really great when you don't have the time to sit down and shine your boots. Though we'll talk about that in another video. You should always take the time to clean and shine your boots, because that is another high-ticket item, just like tack, and we want to maintain it properly. Make sure we're getting underneath this part of the girth so we can get all the pieces. That'll allow us to get underneath and make sure that we have leather care underneath there. Then we're gonna just get under all the nooks and crannies here. Some of that off there. Underneath the D-ring, this is a good place to make sure that we get leather care on as well. During competition, there can be lots of pressure put on this D-ring if you're wearing the piece of tack that's going to attach to it, so we really want to make sure we get that. And then of course, these outer edges, we're going to have lots of flexibility. Now we've had this Equi-Soft Girth. I think this is the first one that we acquired, my wife acquired, and it has seen some years and some miles, but by regularly cleaning it, we're able to keep it in good working nick. So, and again, as I've said, that is the most important thing we can do, is make sure that our tack is well cared for, because if we care for our tack, it will care for us and our horses. Okay. Almost done. Can you smell that? It smells like bacon. Now I'm using both methods today of applying the leather cleaner directly to the tack. You can also apply it, as I've just been doing, to the rag that you're using. Either way works. It's a little bit of, you can go back and forth, as I've been doing. When you have great big areas, it's a lot easier to just apply it directly to the area that you're going to be applying it to, and then taking the rag over it, because I'm doing some detail work. In this last bit, I have been applying to the rag just so I can use the exact amount that I need. I've been cleaning tack for almost a decade now, supporting grooming for Jessica. For those of you who don't know, that's my wife. She's a upper level eventer out here in Area 7, Pacific Northwest. But maintaining her tack has been one of the things I do at horse shows. Okay, so got that all wiped down. Wipe it down a little bit more on this side. You can see we have that nice gleam. The leather care really puts a nice gleam on these things. Alright, sorry about that. Had to take a short little break. Alright, so now that we have our Equi-Soft Girth clean, we are going to marry it back onto the pad here. get that there. And this Velcros on really easily. We're just gonna press that down there. And you see how that fits really nicely. And our tack, our girth, is ready to go. So, again, we were using our Stübben leather soap and our Stübben leather care, and by using those on our Stübben girth, we're going to get long life out of this item. So thank you for joining me here today with HMH Saddle Services. I'm Houston, and if you have any questions or you would like to purchase this item or any other item and you live in the South Sound, Olympia, Vancouver, Washington area, or in between, please reach out, let me know, and I will be happy to talk to you about discounts. All right. Have a great day.